Story 1. I found out fiancé dropped out of school and cheated with a bag boy at the grocery store. To start, I'm on a phone and do not have access to computer, so sorry for any grammar or formatting issues. Okay, so I'm new to Reddit, but names have been changed. Also, sorry it's so long. I met Jenny in HS. We didn't date then, but she was flirtatious and kind to me. I was extremely oblivious to her advances and essentially any attention back then. So, I didn't pick up on the very obvious signals at the time. To boot, I had a GF, so honestly, I wasn't interested. Fast forward to 2005, me and my girlfriend had broken up. I went to a house party to celebrate my newly single self. My brothers and I were having a great time. To be honest, I was quite intoxicated. I hear a familiar voice through the music. Forrest. I turned around and lo and behold, it's Jenny. She had grown out of her ugly duckling stage, and she had become even more lovely. I spent the rest of the party catching up. Before I went home, I was sure to get her phone number and we set up a date. We went on a few dates and soon we were exclusive. If I'm being honest, I fell for her almost immediately. She was funny, easy to talk to, and goal-oriented. She wanted to pursue a career as a RNA. Honestly, after my last relationship, I found that extremely refreshing. We instantly clicked. We had all the same hobbies, loved the outdoors, and enjoyed the same bad movies. Within the first 4 months, we moved into one of my grandfather's rental properties, and I believed we were genuinely happy. Over the next several months, we meet each other's families and friends. Eventually, she introduced me to her gay BFF, Dan. My best friend growing up was also gay. So, seeing that they were both single, I attempted to set them up on a date. As soon as I mentioned his name, Jenny and Dan both started to laugh. Dan says, "I know him and he's an ugly nerd." I was taken back and obviously offended on my friend's behalf. I told them both that belittling him wasn't cool. When Dan left, I asked Jenny if they were normally that snarky when they were together. She pretended she didn't know what I meant, and we moved on with our day. I worked as a certified welder for a union shop. I was making amazing money for someone that age. She worked as a clerk at local grocery store while also going to school. As time rolled on, I spent every waking hour with her. We did everything together, and I was truly in love. She was my world. I took her on dates to all the local hotspots, shopping trips, vacations, we went to concerts, and all the latest movies. Soon we were engaged. I spoiled her, if I'm being honest. Quite a downward spiral. So, Jenny, Dan, and I were going out of town to check out a shopping mall and grab some grub. And Dan and Jenny were being as snarky as ever. This time though, it was different. They were being snarky to each other. I had never seen this before, so I was pretty amused. I got a kick out of it, so I was throwing in some get it and oh snap comments. Jenny was not amused, and she said she was going to the car. I was about to chase after her to apologize when Dan stopped me. He said, "Look, Forrest, I didn't want to say this in front of Jenny, but did you know she dropped out of school?" No, them, yeah, and that's not all. I'm not going to be that guy, but you need to ask her about Bubba. You treat her too good. Me, what? Dan, I've said enough. Do with it what you will. Just don't let that ball drop until I get out of the car. I was flabbergasted. I didn't know what to say or do. It was a very tense and quiet ride home. I dropped Dan off, thanked him for coming out with us. Then we went home. I thought maybe Dan was mad and just trying to throw some trouble Jenny's way, but decided to look into it some more. It didn't take long to find he wasn't lying about her quitting school. So, I checked her phone before I went work. There's Bubba. The more I looked, the more I found, until I had to get out of there. I was devastated, and quickly becoming unstable. I called off work and went to talk to my brother. We agreed the best way to handle things was to go get some stuff from the house while she was at work, then give her a time frame to be out by. I was just running on autopilot at bro's direction at this point. So, we went to the house and go inside. As it turns out, she was lying about her work schedule too. There are Jenny and Bubba. They had heard us coming in and started getting dressed. I wish I was stoic in the face of the situation. I was not. I chased Bubba out the house. He was quicker than he looked. I couldn't catch him. When I got back to the house, I started to yell, but all at once, reality struck, and I was just sobbing. My brother told her she had best get her things and be on her way. She tried to argue, but bro wasn't having it. He sat with me for the night, keeping me from calling her, keeping me from making a fool of myself. I spent days in haze of alcohol and tears, trying to ignore Jenny's calls, but I started getting more info. Apparently, Bubba worked with her. He was a grocery bagger. The affair was going on for at least a month, probably longer. That hurt. Honestly, I had no idea. There were no signs that I noticed at the time. She came and went at the same times. Had it not been for Dan, I would have never known. I would have been in a hollow train wreck of a marriage. I asked for my engagement ring back. Never got it. Eventually, the pain started to fade, and so did the calls. I came home one day from work and there's a letter in my mailbox with no mailing address. Of course, it's from Jenny. She says sorry for how it ended, but she has never believed in monogamy. She just liked all the things I did for her and that I treated her like a princess. That kinda made things crystal clear for me. She wasn't just a cheat and a liar. She's just all around awful person. I just apparently had either blinded myself to it or she was a fantastic actor. When my head started to clear, I realized I spent 3 years alienating my friends in favor of hers, most of which are AHs. Except Dan, surprisingly, he's cool in my book. So, I reconnected with old friends and kept myself busy with work and backpacking. About a year later, I started seeing one of my oldest friends. She was also getting out of bad long-term relationship. We clicked. She made me feel whole again. Eventually, she moved in with me into the house Jenny and I used to share. Not a month after that, Jenny showed up to my home. My new girlfriend answered the door. Get this, Jenny asks if I'm home. NGF is not pleased but hollers at me saying Jenny is out front. NGF sits down at kitchen table and chuckles, have fun with the noise. I go to the door, and Jenny had made her way out to the yard and was literally on her knees begging me to take her back. Jenny, I did you so dirty. I'm so sorry, Forrest. You treated me better than anyone ever had. I should have never stepped out on you. Please give me another chance. Me? Nope, not a chance. And have some respect for my lawn for God's sakes. You're putting divots in my grass. Her jaw dropped, and she just deflates into a pile. About this time, Dan opens the door of his car and gets out. Dan, how you are doing, Forrest? Me? Fine. Didn't notice you there, Dan. Doing all right. Dan, dealing with the drama. Sorry for the scene. Dan to Jenny, see hun. I told her you didn't have an ice cube shot in hell. Now get in the car, you mess in a dress. Me, take care of yourself, Dan. Dan, you too, Forrest. And at that, go inside. NGF had peeked the window and heard the whole thing. I caught her sliding back into her chair as I came in. We chuckled together. His whole story takes place over the course of 4 years. It ends 14 years ago. NGF became wifey. We have 2 kids, a son and daughter. We're happy, content, honest, and faithful. Jenny, from what I've heard, had a kid with criminal who has NC with his child. Also, she's gained a lot of weight. She messages me from time to time. I don't answer. As for Dan, I haven't heard from him since that day outside my house. Even so, he's still cool in my book. Reader comment. 5 minutes after just watching Forrest Gump for the umpteenth time, I get on Reddit and the first post I see is this. What are the odds? I pretty much read this entire post sounding like Forrest lol. I wish you and your family the best. Hope you get along like peas and carrots. Original poster, thank you kindly. Story 2. I wish I could go back to being naive and innocent. Before I met the person who cheated on me, I was just a 24-year-old dude who had never been kissed. I faced some valid problems, but nothing too wild. I had been to a fancy school, got good grades, went to a nice college with a sheltered friend group, and had hobbies full of decent folks. My parents gave me some financial support, but I lived on my own and held a full-time job that I got by myself. I was a reasonably functional young adult. SHT, I had just started grad school in the damn Ivy League. The things I'd hear about were just things to imagine and fear in the abstract. But then, it was real. We were seeing each other, and all I initially worried about was being good at sex, interesting in conversation, and using CD properly so I wouldn't accidentally get her pregnant. Again, good things to think about, but relatively sheltered problems. I didn't worry about defining the relationship at all, because why would I? It had been 4 months, so of course we were exclusive, right? Sure, I found other girls hot and figured she felt that way about other guys, but I always assumed that nobody acted on those feelings. I had chances, but I didn't do anything because it just wasn't something that decent people do. Well, it turns out that she did, with at least 2 others that she admitted to. Everything would trickle out little by little. It's been over 3 years since all that happened. We've been broken up for a long time, but I learned a lesson that I never wanted to, and now I see it everywhere. I've faced traumas that hurt me to the point that I couldn't hold a job for a while. I've had real monetary problems that, for most of my life, were something that was reserved for other people. I understood them conceptually, but I didn't have to live that sort of life. I've had employers who were legitimately malicious, not just disorganized and preoccupied. I've seen my family start to squabble with each other in ways that I thought were just fodder for movies. Sure, we fought all the time when I was young, but now I have old relatives who are legitimately making plans for when another one dies. I have a stable job now and, as of this past August, have secured the sort of job that I would have wanted a few years ago. I'm at least somewhat back on track, despite multiple years of trauma and turbulence. I have less money and less of a social safety net to fall back on, but I'm mostly okay. But I've been forced to grow up and I wish I could go back. I supervise students who are so much like the person I used to be. Entitled and lazy, maybe, but smart and full of promise. Unaware of how cruel the world can be. I wish I could blend my current wisdom with the naivete of my younger self. I'm too young to be old, even now. But instead of a hot and smart Harvard kid, I'm a balding and oft-injured random dude at a regular job with emotional baggage. I'm still functional, but I'm a shell of my former self. Reader comment. Opus, have you thought about or been in therapy? You understand cheating has nothing to do with the betrayed person, all has to do with the cheater. Consider yourself lucky that she didn't get a wedding and kids out of it all too. Be kind to yourself here. We all have to adult and grow up, it isn't fun. Reader comment. It's not too late to get some help rebuilding your self-esteem. It doesn't destroy everyone, and it does not have to. Make a few bucks, save some, get some therapy. Join a gym and work out. Story 3. Please help. New here and really need help. My wife and I have been fighting for almost a month now. I even left for 2 weeks with the intent of not coming back. Long story short, I walked out on her because I went through her phone, but I had a gut feeling. She had been keeping a weird relationship with a coworker a secret. It started out at friends. Things escalated. He had this giant crush. For months he was sending her inappropriate texts, taking her to concerts, bringing her gifts at work, knowing she was married and knew who I was. And she did nothing. In the text I saw when she got mad at him for bringing her gifts at work, it wasn't mad because she's married and that's inappropriate as F, but argued with him like an angry girlfriend that doesn't want gifts to make her feel better. It's very strange. For months he was trying to get in her pants. Instead of cutting ties with him, telling him to F off, I'm married, she continued to hang out with him, talk to him. They went to concerts, late bar nights, meeting for donuts with our son, sending him photos of our son in jackets he had picked out. She even ended up staying at his house a couple of times when this first became an issue because she was too drunk to drive, but didn't have the respect for her husband and 8-month-old son at the time to make it home via Uber, Lyft, husband, etc. She even made me over an hour late for work the next day. I got called a bunch of vulgar names and served divorce papers for basically being hurt and upset and not keeping it to myself. It got even worse when I told my boss the truth of why I was late. Keep in mind that we spent 13 weeks in marriage counseling. Because I was this chauvinistic pig, controlling a whole piece of SHT, shitty father, and wouldn't allow her to have friends, and that example is lightweight. In the reality of it all is I was trying to stop her from hanging out with this person, and I ended up on antidepressants and anxiety medication because of it, while she continues to hang out with this person behind my back, knowing he's in love with her. The same week I found the texts and I walked out. She met up with him at a bar, willingly, after months of being sexually harassed, and at some point, bit him on the arm. Her excuse was he wouldn't put her down. And when he finally did put her down, she bit him to prove a point. Her excuse for letting it go on so long and lying to her husband about it for months, even during counseling, is that she knew I would just cause more drama and the situation was delicate but under control because she just had to make it 2 more weeks before he moved out of state. Apparently, this person is so insane. She so is concerned for her and our son's safety. If she were to file a complaint at work, it would just make him mad or call the cops. The response time would be to slow or have told her husband the truth and stop hanging out with this person and his friends, or do anything I would hope a loving wife would do. I love my wife to death, and I want to believe her, but there's multiple texts from her boyfriend's friend that literally says it's not cool to be trying to work things out with your husband and having a good time with Walker at the same time. She didn't correct him in any sense other than correcting him on the fact that Walker was not a rebound, whatever that means. Her excuse for that was that they are best friends, and if she told his friend otherwise that there was never anything going on, it would just cause more problems and put her safety in jeopardy. What gets me the most is she fed into it, willingly spent time with this person even after months of lying to me and being sexually harassed. I feel bad for not believing her. I even moved back, and after 2 days of happiness because I had pretended like nothing happened, I couldn't do it anymore. I tried to ask her a few questions about a new text I saw with Walker's friend asking my wife about a scarf he let her use when they were still together. And she was short, aggressive, rude, defensive, and completely started a fight instead of simply answering a few questions I feel like I have a right to know. Now she wants me gone again and filing for a divorce because I couldn't let the past be the past and leave what she did swept under the rug for more than 2 days. I've been blamed for ruining our marriage, accused of cheating for some reason, and now I have no friends because she texted them saying I've been effing his wife. They want nothing to with me because I didn't stand up for them to my wife after everything she had caused. I feel so disrespected and unloved. Is there an affair? If so, was it emotional or physical or both? Does it matter? Am I bitch forgiving and then coming home just to be treated this way? Is it time to call it quits? Am I the a-hole? Reader comment, she doesn't have anything to hide, she has everything to hide. That's why she shuts you down. Don't listen to her words, look at her actions. That is where you will find the truth. Original poster, if she has nothing to hide. What's with the attitude? What's with the instant divorce as a solution to anything? Am I wrong for asking questions about the situation, when 2 days prior I had to promise to sweep it under the rug just to save our marriage? Technically that's going back on a promise, and why she is upset all over again. She's upset because I act like she was having an affair. Well, should I not be? Was she really in danger? I'm so confused. And now thanks to her, Reddit is my only friends for advice lol. Reader comment, she cheated, but so did you. What you are going through sucks. It's painful and sadly there is a kid involved too, but what you don't seem to understand is that she cheated on you, your relationship, even if she never touched his Johnson. Cheating, having an affair isn't just effing, it's breaking the rules that you both established throughout your entire relationship. Does it matter if she effed him? Does it matter how long she lied or how bad those lies were? Does it matter that she effed a dude? No. What matters is that her behavior is so anti-relationship that it's broken your trust to the point where you broke the rules of your relationship when you violated her space and trust. here is the kicker. Even if you found nothing on her phone, the relationship was dead the minute you proved how little you trust her. You will never have the relationship you had with her because you will never trust her like you used to. You will never have the relationship you wanted with her because you will never trust her again after all of this. What you are fighting to save doesn't exist. She destroyed it. Well, almost. There is a hope. It's small. So small it may not even be possible. It's going to require that you do something very hard. You need to walk away. For real this time. Get your lawyer on the phone and plan your exit so you can get max control over your money and your child. Make a date to have her removed or for you to be in a new home, whatever makes the most sense. Do not include her on your plans even as a threat. Then get the F out. Do not argue about anything with her about this. 1. You can't change the past. 2. She's not going to tell the truth anyway. 3. She's unwilling to fight for your relationship, just her own wants and needs. You do all this, and maybe she sees how badly she effed up. Maybe she might get counseling to help her with whatever has broken her. She may then sincerely apologize to you, and you may even accept it and learn to trust her again if you aren't already in a good relationship by that point. Original poster, I am on here for advice. So, I gotta ask what you mean by I cheated as well. I haven't even so much as flirted with another girl